Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Digital Dating with Anonymous Andrew. And I am really, really, really excited tonight. I have on tonight Melissa Louise, and I'll get into a little later maybe how I got her to come on my podcast, but it's a funny story. But let me tell you a little bit about Melissa's background. Melissa Louise, she's not here to play small, or neither are you. As a sacred sexuality and a certified erotic blueprint coach, she guides her clients into the often forgotten places where truth, pleasure, and power collide. Her work is a fierce and tender reclamation of the wild feminine and the primal masculine, and the unapologetic aliveness that lives beneath the conditioning. Through deep intimacy work, she's the sensual awakening and the radical truth-telling. Melissa helps women and men and couples shed shame, rewire desire, and live lives that drip with authenticity and connection and erotic power. And I'm going to leave it there because there's another whole paragraph. And I'm going to throw it to Melissa and say, welcome to the show. And would you like to elaborate on that?
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for inviting me here. Wow, how could I elaborate on that? I just think we live in a world that is so tethered to playing small, and we're so, our lives are filled with all of these distractions of work and money making that we forget that we're humans and that we live we're erotic beings. We're fully fledged erotic beings, and we have a system that is always shaming us for that so that they can control us. And I'm just not here for it.
I heard, so this is what I alluded to at the beginning. I heard Melissa on another podcast a couple of months ago, and maybe we'll talk about it later. And she blew me away. At the end of the podcast, I said, I must have her on. I must have her on. What she was talking about was the parts that really I paid attention to, and it really perked me up, was first of all, you don't hold anything back. So she was talking she was talking about how a husband can come home and get his if he wants to be with his woman that night, and these are her words. If he wants to fuck his wife that night, these are the things that he needs to do. And I love the way that she wrote it out. Like, draw him a bath and literally take her upstairs and say, hey, you're going to get in this bath and I'm going to go take care of the kids. And even before that, there was some texting I think you talk about during the day. And we do know that the female and the male, the biggest sex organ is the brain, right? Which we all forget about. We all think the vagina and the penis are the biggest. They're not. It's up here. Anyway, what Melissa was talking about through the whole other podcast that I was listening to, I was nodding my head going, yes, that is absolutely right. And not to mention communication. So there's a lot of dead bedroom syndromes going on. I think people and it was going on years and years. It's nothing new. You get that 7-year itch. People, get married, and in 5, 6, 7 years, their marriages, you get the dead bedroom. And I think what Melissa was trying to talk about on that podcast, that it doesn't have to be that way. Correct?
God, no. I mean, why?
No.
Why would you want it to be that way?
No.
What's the point? I think I'm often heard saying, if you're not going to put effort into your sex life and you're not going to place attention, curiosity into your intimate life, then just get on fucking Craigslist and go wanted. Someone to cohabitate with, get bored with, go into debt with, have my children, and just be grumpy with. Who wants a fucking job? No one. You would not get an answer.
And that's what marriages, Yeah, and that's what marriages turn into.
Many, yeah.
And I don't think even I'm approaching retirement, but I watched my parents, and I don't want to think about what they did in the bedroom, but my parents were together until death did them part. So I have no idea what their sex life was like, but they did stay together. But they're the minority. The divorce rate is super high, and I think young couples are getting married. Well, actually, I think they're getting married later in life now, because when I was young, we got married at 20, 21, 22. I think people are waiting longer. But either way, they're getting married and they're not, I don't think they understand what's coming down the road when the kids are born and there's a two-income household. Um, all the things that happen with the husband and wife, and they forget to nurture their relationship with each other. It the marriage just bottoms out. They don't take care of each other. They don't take care. What's the saying? When the mask drops, you got to put it on yourself. Well, the relationship needs to be nurtured. Otherwise, it's just going to fall apart. And that's what happens when the kids get into high school and they're off to college, and then they divorce each other. It's over. And it doesn't have to be that way. And what I heard on your other podcast that I heard you on, I really liked what I was hearing. So if you want to briefly go over a little bit about that, and I think you have something called the arousal and erotic blueprint.
Well,
Is
the
that
erotic
something that?
blueprint, as I'm a certified coach in the erotic blueprints, which is by Jaya, that's Jaya's work, but I'm a certified coach in that modality. So it's something I do talk with my clients about. It's something that I use. I also just want to tether back to something you were saying, like when we're looking at our parents, grandparents, or looking at couples that stay together, we're always equating this longevity with happiness and deep satisfaction. And I want to get something really fucking clear. The majority of people are not deeply satisfied. So just because they die together still under the guise of a piece of paper that's been signed, it doesn't mean that they had a completely satisfying life. And we also have to look at the reasons of why many people got married before. Women needed the safety of shelter security, child rearing security, and food security. So that's what marriage is about. Marriage is about, I need all of this secure so that if I'm going to have children, they have a roof over their head. Nothing around deeply satisfying sex lives and deep happiness is involved in that at all. It's all around survival. So when we're looking at our parents and looking at our grandparents and looking at also too, we have to remember it's like half of the world is still tethered to this, especially when we're looking at deeply religious cultures, which are not spiritual cultures. This is one thing too that we mess up. This concept of God consciousness and God has got nothing to do with religion. Religion is a money-making construct, which is there to control the woman because of the power of the woman, and like we birth the fucking nation. Like people just need to get that in their head again. It's like we're only here because we've come through the body of a woman. But when we look at the constructs of religion, is about dismantling that power for control. Now, I'm not here to save the world. I don't have the answers right now. But when we're looking at monogamy and we're looking at marriages, we need to understand this construct around marriage has never been around happiness. It's been around a business, and it's been around making sure that the woman is controlled so the man knows where to pass on. This is out of the industrialized revolution, and even before that, in religion, it's like, I have property, which I don't know how you controlled that property, but that's another conversation. I have property because I purchased it. I have property and I have a business. So I need to know who my children are so that when I die, they get it. Because we don't have community and we don't have security of food, shelter, and child rearing taking care of a village anymore. It's done by one person. So we can look at that as far as the financial things. But now we also need to understand that what we used to get from a village, which is also the support for a relationship, is now being tethered to one person. So the other, our human design, our nervous systems are not designed to get all of our needs met by a other, by one other. It's a huge fucking business. It's got nothing to do with relationships and relating. So I'm not telling everyone don't get married. I'm like, let's just broaden. Like, many people will sign a piece of paper on someone else's agreements. They've never fucking agreed to half of the stuff that they're saying. They haven't discussed it. They haven't created their own relationship vision. I to this day, I have not worked with a couple that at the beginning when they got married or got together had a huge relationship, like sat down and worked out their relationship vision. They do it in my coaching, but they will have 3 children and they'll have debt but they don't have a vision for their relationship. They've got a vision for work and they've got a vision for their business. And maybe they wanted 3 children. Many wanted 1 or 2 and end up with 3. That's not a vision. That's like stumbling. Oh, fuck. Like it's so profound to me how we are tethered and bullied into believing we have to have this relationship, but there's no discussion about it. We've just got to spend tens of thousands of dollars feeding all of these other people why we wear white and maybe bring them down to Mexico and let's just show off an Instagram worthy wedding. But what the fuck is happening for the next 40 years as far as your communication, as far as your connection? What people don't have structure into place for rupture. They have structure into place if the tire of their car blows out, they'll have a repair kit, or they have paid their membership for AAA, whatever it's called in whatever country. It's like, great. So you've got things in place. You have insurance for maybe we all know it's all falling apart. We might have Medicare. We might be paying insurance if the house falls on fire. But they don't have rupture repair structures in place for the relationship. And the only reason you have the fucking debt way above your eyeballs is because of the relationship. But the relationship is stuck. It's just like fucking pushed off into the corner to survive whilst we do life. And I'm like,
because they don't nurture it.
Well, we're not even taught to nurture it. We're not even told to put it in the, like, please wear white and a suit and spend lots of money on a 5-course meal for guests
at the wedding.
At the wedding,
yeah,
and have a honeymoon. It's like, but what for?
Yeah.
Spend that money on coaching, or spend that money on being with each other, like once for a whole week, once a year. I don't know. Anyway, no, I do, but I'm just like, it's loopy to me.
Back in 1980 something, when I got married, in mid 80s, I was brought up in the Catholic Church, which I am not part of anymore. And I don't know if you remember, and you probably do, because I don't know where you, by your accent, I'm gathering you either Australian or British, but we had pre-Cana. Remember what pre-Cana was? So Catholics had to attend a pre-Cana. If I'm pronouncing it right, I believe it was pre-Cana, Cana, and it was 6 months or 9 months where the couple, you were engaged, would go and see a priest or go to classes about how to be married in the Catholic Church. And that was the closest thing that I ever saw that came to like guidance in learning how to be married. But of course, that was the Catholic Church's version of it. Yeah. So, and I don't think that they taught the wife or the husband that in 6 or 7 or 8 years how to give the husband a blowjob at 8 o'clock at night when he comes home from when the wife comes home from work. Well, so when I was listening to your other interview, you had such great ideas on how to nurture that marriage or not, long-term relationship. So let's say the people aren't married, but they're living together. People are shacking up, is Dr. Laura used to say, they're shacking up. They're living together, right? So, and a lot of people don't want to sign their names to anything, so they live together. I can think of a bunch of friends of mine that are just not married, but they're living together. What? Because I heard it, but my audience didn't hear. What can people do today to nurture their relationships after 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Maybe they have 2 children, and they're struggling, and they're ready to throw in the towel. But
well, yeah, so many things, isn't it? And it doesn't start. It's like illness. Your heart attack didn't happen that day. It began 10 years before with the way you live. So it's also too with relationship. It's like, if we're going to sit and do mop up. I mean, and if we're willing to do that, amazing. But, what I was speaking about before, the whole construct needs to be questioned. I'm not against relationships. I'm not against marriage. But we also need to understand the concept of marriage is so out of date because it was a construct that suits a system, not the people inside of it. So my work is really inviting couples to truly place their energy and their effort and their attention into maintaining, building. We're always into the relationship, and we're always changing. So if we look at the way that systems change, the internet changes, the way that we need to do business changes, it's always changing. So we always have to learn new skills. How we do one thing is how we do everything. If you want to learn a new sport and then play with a team, you practice all week. Like, let's just use soccer. I mean, you don't just go to the main game on a Saturday or a Sunday. You've got to learn your foot skills. You practice with the team. You go to the gym. You run. You do all of these things to be able to be on the field on Saturday. We need to look at our relationships the same way. You want to be having deeply satisfying, nourishing intimacy, because it's another thing where this word sex, having sex, has been cornered, and we've chiseled it down to this one idea that sex is P and V, or it's intercourse. It's like it's entering into someone else's body. Therefore, that is sex. Sex is how we satiate our desires. Sex is not something that we do. Sex is a place that we go to. So sex can be this 3-hour incredible play with your lover, with your beloved, with your partner that is rolling around. Maybe you use food. Maybe you're painting each other naked on a huge canvas. Maybe you're, whatever the fuck you're doing is still, you're connecting and there's intimacy. Maybe you're having huge, big kissing dates where you're not allowed to have penetration. So the energy is building up and building up and building up. And there's all of this other play, and there's only genital worshipping. And it's like, we're not allowed to penetrate until 3 more days' time. So the build up, the build up, the build up. It's like, we've got to deconstruct this concept of what we call sex, because it's so minimal of how many people view it. How many people view it as this P and V, where if we expand it, we can realize that we can have so much connection within our relating.
Everything you just said is exactly why I wanted to have you on, because I agreed with everything that you said on this other interview, and I needed my audience to hear that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw a word at you that came up in the other one, and it's the word consensual, which can be a problem. Now, in a marriage or a long-term relationship, being consensual. So just as an example, so the wife's doing the dishes, and the husband may have come home, may have flirted with her, texting all day long. Let's say the kids are either out of the house or whatever. He comes up behind her while she's doing the dishes or doing the laundry or doing something. It doesn't matter what she's doing. And he all of a sudden just bends her over and takes her right then and there. This was something that I heard you guys discuss. And the two people that you were with, one of them loved the idea of non-consensual in a long-term relationship. And I think the other one wasn't happy with that. Where do you sit with that?
Well, I mean, it depends who my lover is, whether I can actually. The thing is, like, when we're talking about these examples, we have 8 billion different people in the world, and there needs to be conversations in our relationships about what we're up for. So men have sex to connect. Men need to be physically with to feel connected.
Correct.
They go for sex. Women need to feel connected to have sex. So my thing is on a general level, but this is everyone is an individual. I can imagine as a woman, if she is doing, I mean, she can also be doing lots of other things other than dishes and cooking. But let's just say there's kids in the family. Let's just say she's worked, she's come home, she's cooked. Now she's cleaning, which is like, what the fuck? If she's cooked, someone else should be cleaning. Because they eat. But anyway, let's just keep it that way. So she's cooked.
And no, and I agree, because that came up before. Is that's when you gave the analogy of draw a bath for her, like the husband came home and.
But I just want, yeah, exactly. But I just want to keep on going. Like, I just want the hearers to hear. It's like, a woman's body, like her system, is going to be cortisol filled, it's going to be depleted. If she's got like work and she's come home, so if you were to come in and bend her over and try to fuck her, it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, where has there been any nurturing of a system? That, and unless there's been a conversation, unless there's a kink container, unless the woman is like, this is actually how I like to have sex, and you know that your partner is really open to that, where it is by surprise and she is open to that, which is an individualistic want, desire, need. If a man is complaining that he can't do that to his woman, and I'm going to get really, really clear, then he should be fucking men, because that is how men approach men. I'm horny, you're there, I'm having it. So, and I say this to my male clients that come and get really pissed off, going, no, it's like, okay, we'll start fucking men, because you're wanting sex in the way a man is able to have it, which is
able to have sex, right?
Yeah, which is in with the seconds. Some women can. I'm not saying they can't, but not the majority of women can't, because our systems are fucking different. And if it annoys you, just think about humans got on the planet because a woman's system is like that. Like, it's like we can get annoyed the fact that the sun is up in the sky and the sky is blue. Well, big shit, it is. What are you going to do about it? A woman's system needs time to open. So if you'd like to be with women, you need to understand this. Just as women have their work of like, if you'd like to be with men, and it's like men come towards you wanting sex because they want to feel connected. So then we're responsible for our own pleasure. We're responsible for our own systems. So it's not black and white, but we need to understand how opposite our systems are. Now, if you want to come home to your woman and have her open to you, then it doesn't start the moment you open the door and you want to have sex. This is what we call sexual currency. Sexual currency is nurturing the space between the two people that are involved intimately. So if your woman's love language, or what really opens your woman up, is words of affirmation. Like, she loves to hear how beautiful she is. She loves to hear how you see her. She loves to hear how you view her body. She loves to hear how she is to you. Like, she wants to read those words and she wants to hear it. That is your responsibility to make sure that you're doing that. If you know she's been working all day, you know that she's also cooked and she's taking care of children and that she's had a huge day, then when you come home, you run that bath. You pick a flower on the way home and you come behind to give her a big hug and get her to breathe 5 deep breaths with you, because men generally, the bone structure, the muscle mass is larger and heavier than the female frame, generally, not all the way. But if we're looking at yin and yang, and we're looking at two nervous systems, a man's system has the ability, in that embrace, that strong embrace and the deep breaths, it'll drop the woman's system. So a woman needs to be held. So you don't have to talk. You can just hold her and say, baby, you hand her the flower, you get her to breathe with you, your breath is long and deep, her body will drop, and you go, I'm drawing you a bath. And you take her to the bathroom. You say, you're sitting in here for 20 minutes. Here's your glass of wine. I'm taking care of dinner.
The courtship just doesn't end at the marriage. It goes. You need to nurture this relationship after the second, third, fourth, fifth, especially 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if you want that long-term marriage. Depending whether you have kids or not, or whether the kids go off to college or off to soccer. And in the high school years, the kids are pretty much self-dependent, right? You don't see them till 8:00 at night. They come home from soccer practice and homework and night chess club or whatever it is. But I can't agree with you enough what men need to do, and I am one of them. But I do see this happening more and more, that men are just not. Although I wonder, is it always the men's fault? So let's say the man comes home, he buys flowers, he says something to her in a text message like 3:00. Oh, I can't wait to. You had said something about, it might have been you, it might have been the other person, something about, I want to see you in your undies in the bedroom. when I get home tonight. I want to see you in something like
When I
telling
get
her
home
what.
tonight, you better be in the bedroom only in your
Thank you.
underwear.
That's what it was. What
But
happens
we
if
want
that
to be talked to
backfires?
that way. Okay. The reality is women want to be claimed that way, but you can't go from nothing to that. Like if your woman doesn't feel safe in your presence, if she feels un unnoticed, if she doesn't feel adored, if she doesn't feel like she's been taken care of, you can't just text that and expect that's going to work. Like you got to co-create this relating. And just to come back to your thing about men, I received my whole coaching career. I have received so many emails and messages from men that are in so much pain because they love their wife, but their wife will not do the work and their wife will not have sex with them. And the wife will just shut down and say, it is a human construct. It's not just men in a relationship that are getting things wrong. Many women are shut off, closed down, unorgasmic, and refuse to do the work. Now, a lot of women are non-orgasmic because also they haven't actually really had sex that really works for them, and so they've often just gone through the motions. Many women just go through the motions and bypass their body's signals and their body's needs. Many women believe this bullshit narrative that they take too long. It's like, no, the narrative is men don't take long enough. That's the fucking narrative that we don't want to talk about. So
I
then we're all
agree.
stuck in this construct that where a woman won't shut down and will not refuse sex if she's getting what she fucking needs, because a woman's body is designed to be fucked wide open. Now, it's not just between the two people. There can be all of these outside stresses, her hormones, the fact that we live in a masculine project world where women are required to act as if they're men. Like we have to work from Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, and we've got to do it no matter where the moon is in the sky, no matter where our menstrual cycle is. We've still got to show up as if we're a fucking man. Half of the planet is women. Yeah, like let's just be fucking serious about this. Like it's disgusting. It's like the whole construct of our culture is under the sun, is if the world is full of 8 billion men. But the women still have to give birth and produce the population. And that's the only time that we considered is if we're pregnant. And yet every month, our system is very different to a man's system. What you guys go through in 24 hours, we go through in 28 days. Some women 30, some women 32, some women
Right.
26. Okay. So, like, hello, we don't operate as you guys do. We're not equal. And that does not mean we do not get treated with equality, but we don't have the equal bodies. You don't have the
You're
equal. Actually, you guys don't have the same body we do. Boom, boom. That's it.
biologically we're different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the
So
book
then when
Men
we,
Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus. I think that
yeah.
was one of them.
So then when we're looking at why would a woman be shut down, it's like we're going to have a fucking encyclopedia of why that is possible. And often it starts from when she first bleeds, the way that she has to go to school, the way that it's filled with shame. Her nervous system is in a constant fight and flight around being a woman. We're just been constantly told that we're the problem. So when someone's internalizing that, and especially when there's sexual abuse and things like this, which the majority of women have received, but we have to keep silent about it, and so do men. I'm not saying so. If I'm working, if a guy comes to me and he and his partner are in their 50s and there's this history of the woman not wanting sex from him, okay, we need 6 hours to work out, like maybe 3 sessions. Let's go all of the different layers. What type of sex was she getting? Did she really like it? Was she really truthful to you? Does she have, so men are in a lot of pain that their partners are not coming to the table and discussing this either. So I just want to really place that on the table. It is a human issue, not just a man's issue or a woman's issue. It's like we're not raised to speak about this. So a lot of people are in shame about it.
Okay. Great point you just brought up. The lack of communication between couples. So whether it's a year in or 2 years in or 5 years in, and one of them is unhappy, but either sexually, emotionally, maybe one of them is already having an emotional affair, like texting somebody or met somebody at work. How can one? I know the answer would be therapy or go to a coach or something. But how does the husband or the wife begin the I almost said argument. Wow. Begin the discussion to sit down and have an open dialogue about this?
Well, they've got to be really radically honest with themselves how important their relationship is and what are they willing to do to make sure that their relationship is in the center. I remember years ago when I lived in Costa Rica, I had a really dear friend. There was a couple, and he was sharing with me how, his wife was getting, she was producing music, she was in the studio all the time, she was really focused on her work, on her passion, her work, like her expression at that time, what she was doing. And so they hadn't been intimate for many weeks. And he was sharing with me that he went into town, he went to an event or whatever, and he started looking at other women. He started feeling like going towards other women. And he went home. It takes a lot of courage. This is the thing. So many people don't have the courage to speak to their partner. They will bitch and moan to other people, but they won't talk to their partner, which is also a product of our culture and society. Like, it's also a product of our current human nature, which is really, to me, that's really sad. But he had the courage to go home to his woman and he's like, babe, I am starting to look at other women. What are we going to do about this? Not you. There's no dump or blame. So what are we going to do about this? What do we do to bring back? I don't want to be going, it's not an agreement. It's the other thing. It's like, what are our agreements in relationship? If it's not an agreement in your relationship to be able to flirt with other people, to have all of that flirtatious stuff outside, and long as you come and have your intimacy inside the relationship. It's like a lot of people are also looking at rupture when someone does something, but it's like, was that ever discussed? That you could or couldn't do that? But that's why that is my issue with signing contracts around monogamy and inside of a church for a marriage. Is like, what have you discussed personally, or what are you making assumptions about? Where are your assumptions lying? So that also needs to, like, if you go into a business, if you sign a mortgage, how much paperwork are you meant to read through? Where all that small print that you read through to sign a mortgage, where's the small print of relationships? So often what happens is, and also too, Esther Perel speaks about this, is like when someone has an affair, and I always say this in typical things, someone has an affair, like people are not fucking their wives wide open. They're so nourished. Everything's amazing. They're just like living off dopamine. They're making lots of money because they're having so much sex. And then they go, bye, I'm going to go and have an affair. It's like, it doesn't happen from that. How does an affair happen? It's not always the issue of the other person. Some people do come into relationships with behavioral patterns that they haven't worked through. And then it doesn't matter how good their relationship. Like, this is a huge conversation. But as Esther Perel speaks about, is like, it's often not that they don't love the other, is they don't like who they are themselves in the relationship anymore. So then my inquiry always is like, well, what are you doing? Where are you holding yourself back? Where are you not truly honest with your partner? Where are you compromising your needs and your desires to keep the peace? There's nothing peaceful about keeping the peace. It's a fucking explosion waiting to happen. It's like a landmine. When you do things to keep the peace, all you're doing is planting landmines to explode later. And because we live in a current culture, I mean, this is also too, I don't know how the fuck modern relationships survive with people with 2-3 kids and mortgages and 2 jobs. Like that is trauma, and that is absolute stress balls. So I don't know how people expect themselves to survive in that. But the thing is, they're not having good conversations. Like, things will go on for 6-8
and that was my whole thing at the beginning of the episode, was that I think the Institute of Marriage that was designed 50 5 centuries ago, it was the man, the hunter gatherer, right? The man went out and got the food, and the wife stayed home. But in the last 100 years, that's all changed. And in the last 20 to 25 years, with the economy and women's movement and feminism, women want to have careers. God, I grew up through the 70s and 80s when the women were burning their bras and the glass ceiling, and they wanted equal rights, and which is all great, but that created this mess that you're talking about. So now we have two households. I mean, one household with two people working, with 3 or 4 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cars. You see a goldfish bowl, and they don't have time. So they're functioning like the kids are getting off to school and the jobs, and they have a lot of money in the bank, but they're not nurturing their marriage. And then I want to take that a step further. All of a sudden, and it's always been around, but now it's in the forefront, is ethical non-monogamy and polyamory well, I don't want to say polygamy, because that's more going out in the western part of the United States, but polyamory and ethical non-monogamy, where people, I'm being told, and I've had a lot of guests come on that said that saved their marriage is to go out and find a third person to come home and bring home to the bedroom. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we've institutionalized our sex and sexuality that we're meant to get it from just one person. I mean, it's like it's your relationship, your rules, but most people don't even look at their rules, you know?
No, they don't.
The other thing, the one thing is, it's like if we're looking at the quintessential monogamous relationship, is that you are controlling the other. So if you're not willing, so I just want to bring this up around the punishment and control paradigm. So in the majority of monogamous relationships and marriages, if you're exhausted, you're too tired, you can't be fucked learning new skills. You're not going to learn rope tying. You're not going to learn how to slow down. You're not going to learn how to worship your lover's pussy, or the woman's not going to learn how to give sacred cock massage, and she's not going to learn how. You're controlling the other one's fucking desires. Like, I'm not going to learn that. But if you go and have an affair, I'm taking the kids and I'm going to take the house. It's fucking blackmail.
Yep.
Monogamy breeds blackmail is what I can say. It's like,
it does.
You're going to be miserable, and I'm going to be a part of that misery because I'm going to keep on working, and I'm going to, and this, it's not, I also want to be careful of blaming. It's like when you were talking about before about the feminism, we've got to look at our fucking government structure that has made everything so expensive. Like, it's not just the people's fault. It's like, but the thing is, we are 90, I also want to bring light to, like, we are 96% of the fucking population. We aren't all presidents of countries. Why are we not just not taking part? We do have the power. People forget that. We do have the fucking power, but no one's taking it. They're just running on rat wheels. Because, anyway, this is not a political conversation. But the majority of desire is held by ransom. The majority of people are held on a ransom that you will not evolve and be experiencing other desirable things, because that's not how it's done in our marriage. It's like, okay, so you made that decision for the other person. Mm-hmm. You have the right to control that other person. It's just like, but people get married and believe they do. That's what monogamy creates. It's a blackmail ransom structure. If you are in your monogamous relationship, then it is your responsibility we shift and change. Whoever you married at whatever age, at like 28, that person is different at 29. That person is different at 29 and a half. That person is different at 32 and 1/4. You cannot say you weren't like this when we got married. No, fuck no, you weren't. Of course, that's like giving birth to a baby and wanting the baby to stay a fucking baby for 30 years. It's not. It's always going to change. Well, so do you, and so does the relationship. You have to be responsible to move with it.
And I don't think, and this is, I don't think it'll ever change, but I don't think people should be getting married at 19, 20, 21, 22, because they have no fucking clue as to what it's going to be in 20 years or 15 years, or nor do they make it that long. They get married at 21, she gets knocked up, he loses his job, and next thing they're on welfare, or he's selling drugs. And all you got to do is turn on the news, and you see this every single night.
But can I say something to that?
Yes, absolutely.
This is this perception that marriages are meant to last forever. Like, why the fuck are we so concerned about marriages lasting forever? Why not get married and be in love for 5-7 years? And like, we have this fucking shame around a relationship. That's what we were saying at the beginning. It's like, oh, my parents, stayed together forever. Well, I bet your mother wasn't completely fucked wide open.
No.
The majority, I mean, find the women who have mothers that was so fucking nourished sexually. The majority of women are not. We're not going for that. We have an issue around what marriage, we have this concept that marriage has this poised thing. What's wrong with being married and separating? What's wrong with that?
But I would agree with you because I did that. I was married, had 2 kids, got divorced 7 or 8 years later, and my 2 older boys are doing fantastic. But I will tell you that if you ask them, they would rather have if mommy and daddy stayed together. Then I got married a second time, had a third child, and we did not last more than 10 years. And again, I think if you had asked him, so I have 3 boys, I think he would have, you ask him, he would have rather mom and dad stay together because I just know that.
Yeah.
But I think it's conditioned socially.
Sorry.
Well, I just think it's conditioned socially that the kids today in school, peer pressure. Well, my mom and dad are still together. So the kids that are 18 or 16 or 15 and the parents are getting divorced, they're the outcasts in school. And the parents who, you see where I'm going? It's a social thing.
It's a social thing around judgment and failure. And I'm not saying that marriages shouldn't last for a long time or forever at all. I'm always just questioning our conditioning. And we need to question conditioning as opposed to, well, what is the reality here? And the reality is marriages, like when we're looking at 2 parents in a household, which is trauma-based living because it's meant to be 35 to 40 people taking care of shelter and food security and child-rearing security. So we have a structure of conditioning that if our parents get divorced, there's failure. And often the divorce means, more work. You've got to travel between which is a lot. It's a lot of stuff as opposed to a structure that is community-based, that if you have many people that are looking after you, it doesn't it's between the 2 people that decide to separate sexually, but they're still able to. We don't have the maturity. Our current culture doesn't have the maturity for that. I'm talking about big concepts that 98% of our current human existence does not have the fucking maturity for it. We're all the majority of people are just adolescents running around in adult bodies because they don't spend the time to do work and mature. And we have to be out for ourselves. We've got to make the mortgage. We've got to make the rent. We've got to do this. We've got to build business. So therefore, I'm going to make decisions that fuck up the planet. So I'm going to have these 3 children, but I'm not doing anything to make sure the water that my grandchildren have is clean. Like, can you see where I'm going? It's so fucking ridiculous. So we're so egotistical, and we're consistently making egotistical decisions that fuck the planet, fuck our cleanliness of our air. So what are we doing? I mean, if I ruled the world, not oh my God, but what the fuck are we doing?
Oh, we're fucking everything up, and I don't know where. And you said something earlier that you don't have the answers. I don't have the answers, and I don't know who has the answers. I just know that I raised 3 boys in this world, and from 2 different marriages, and I agree. I was not meant to be in a monogamous relationship my entire life. That was my intent at 25, but at 25, I had no clue. And I think today, and my 3 boys are grown men today. One of them has my grandchildren. He's doing very, very well. And the other 2 boys are doing very well. And I'm happy with how everything turned out. However, there was a lot of trauma and pain and the divorce and there was a lot of drug abuse and alcoholism. We forget that that's a whole nother topic. So we got a few minutes left, and we talked about this at the beginning, I think before we recorded. I'd like your opinion on what's going on. Take all of that aside. So I'm in my golden years. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm not even going to try to guess how old you are, but the dating scene is fucked up beyond. I don't know if you remember 20, 30, 40 years ago, before we had dating apps and before we had matchmaking services and dating coaches, you'd have to go out to a bar or a party or a barbecue or get set up with a blind date. Today, it's all electronic, hence the name of my podcast, Digital Dating, because everything is all online now. What's any perspective, feedback on what's going on? Because it's a mess. It's a real mess.
It's a mess. It's often exhausting. A lot of stuff doesn't go anywhere. We need to remember that humans are involved, and the majority of humans are just adolescents running around in adult bodies. So, it is a mess. It's exhausting. It is, but it's also, but of course, it also, some people do find success and things like that. But I think the issue with the whole digital stuff is that people hide behind it. They actually don't have to be responsible for their actions, or they don't, they just want a dopamine hit. And I find that a lot too, because I mean, I'm on the dating apps, and it's just like I close them down so many times. I reopen the door, and it's just like all of these conversations that.
Well, that's my point. Well, dating burnout. It's like I'm the same thing. I subscribe to Bumble for 3 months. I buy the premium. I spend $150, and now it expired this week, and I have nothing to show for it.
Okay, I also want to tether. You're saying $150 over 3 months. You can go out to see live music and go out to a bar and spend $150 in 2 nights and have nothing to show for it. I think we're just putting so much. Sorry, the most incredible bird. Holy shit! There's a red, orange, yellow, but red head, orange body, yellow wings with a black. Oh my God! It's so beautiful. This
Can
bird,
you turn the camera? Can you turn the?
No, I can't, and you won't be able to see it. Like it's out on the tree. The thing. Anyway. Shiny things. It's pretty shiny things. It's like this thing of like, I'm on a dating site, so it's got to work for me. It's kind of like going out to a bar and go, well, I'm in the bar. Someone better fucking give me their number. I just want to tether that. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, wow, people get so pissed off about dating sites. But do you have that attitude when you go out? I'm here. Give me a fucking number. Like, maybe not, but there's a lot more, human connection. But I hear your frustration. I have the same frustration. I'm on dating sites, and it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I also live in a tourist town, which is really annoying. People go, oh my God, well, I leave tomorrow, but come out with me. And I'm like, no. I'm not here just for entertainment.
Well, and I think there's a difference between what's their intention when they go to the bar. So if this has nothing to do with it. I don't drink, but I would still go to, if a bunch of my buddies and I wanted to go out one night, we would go to the bar. Are we going home with somebody? Is the intent to go out to get laid that night? Or is the intent to go out and just to meet women and have fun and then get some numbers and call them? And because that would be my intent, would be to find someone that I could find that I can call. As much as we talked about not living a monogamous life, maybe marriage wasn't in my cards for my entire life. I'm at the age now where I'm ready to settle down. I'd like to find my forever partner so I can retire and go into the sunset and have one person. I'm too old to be chasing either 25-year-old women who are half my age. I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and oh my God, I was in Miami, and it was just, it was a beautiful thing, but I don't have the energy to be chasing these women around. I just want to find somebody that I can settle down with and retire and live out the next 20 years, whatever I have left on this planet. So I was hoping you had some insight into how to do that.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you just keep on going. You just keep on trying. You get like, I don't have an answer, because I'm also like, even now I've had, my experience from the weekend and this week, I've had some great conversations, and some guys have got my number and they just fizzle out, and I'm like, my number's not here.
Why? That's what I'm getting at.
I don't know. That's why I think a lot of people are like, when they're sitting at home and they can text, they have all of this bravado, or they feel. I often wonder too, and this is my inquiry. Are people really so dissatisfied with their life that this is their dopamine hit, this is their entertainment, but they actually they're quite dissatisfied with their life, and maybe they don't like it, and maybe they don't have the confidence, and so they're not going to follow it through. So it's easy to sit like this, and I don't know. I don't have an answer for it.
Yeah,
I don't understand human behavior.
Yeah, neither do I. And quickly, we're going to wrap this up. Quickly, I explained to you that I met somebody a couple of weeks ago in a sport that we play together, and I was very interested, and I asked her out, but she said, yeah, I'll be happy to go out for the coffee. But she said, only as friends because I'm not looking for anything more. But here it is 3 weeks later, and we've gone out on 3 different dates. And those coffee dates that were like were supposed to be a half hour turned into 2 hour dates. And now we're going, you see where I'm going? So the people who are sitting home thinking that their life is the way they like it, I think when they get a taste of what it's, I'm not even sure, and I know what I'm trying to say, but and I'm also trying to put words in somebody else's mouth I shouldn't say. So, I,
Now, my only
I
thing, because I know we talked about this beforehand, I also want to play, like, women also love having friends that are male. There's nothing wrong, especially as we get older. Like, I'm putting myself in that position. Say there was someone I was playing sports with, and I would have no, if I just want to be friends with them, of course I still want to have dinner with them. Of course I still want to go out and have,
but
listen
what do
to
you
what she's
do when
saying.
the man looks at you and is attracted to you sexually, romantically, emotionally?
But she's already put a boundary in. Yeah, she's told you she just wants to be friends.
But I did mention that her actions were different. So, uh,
But have you checked?
I,
But the thing is, have you asked her?
yes, yeah.
So you've said to her, I'm confused because you've said you just want to be friends, yet the signals, I may be wrong, the signals I'm getting from you that you want a bit more than that. Can you please clarify? Am I
So
getting
she
that right?
said to me, I'm comfortable where I'm at because I don't want to be tied down. So apparently she doesn't want a ball and chain. And I said to her, "What happens if you could have both?" And then she looked at me and she said, like she gave that a second thought. Like, in other words, we could date, we could be romantic, but I'm not looking for romance or love where it's 24/7. Like, we would go out every couple of weeks and every couple of days maybe, and then but I got a completely different response from her when I said that to her. And all of a sudden now it's 2 or 3 weeks later, and we've gone on 3 different dates, and they've gone for hours instead of just when you go to coffee with a friend after a pickleball game or a tennis game, you go for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then we stayed for two. We closed the place. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say the behavior was different than the
Mm.
words. So
But then also too, I'm trying to clarify. So you have mentioned to her, hey, why not happy lovers?
I didn't use the word lovers, but I said, why not? Why wouldn't you entertain dating? And when I offered, so she didn't want to be tied down, and I said, well, how about we don't tie you down. We date, but we don't. You can come and go as you. I kind of like met her in the middle, and she just looked at me like, oh, that's possible. Uh,
So
yeah,
my advice to you would be like get clarity, like don't
yeah.
leave it ambiguous because if you just keep on just going out for hour-long dates, she'll lose complete interest because it's like that's going to water everything down. If you've had the conversation with her, why not? Then the next date it's like, listen, honey, I've put on the table for us to be lovers. Are you interested or not? Because do you want to stay seeing her if you can't be sexually involved in her?
No,
Yeah.
no.
So you've got to make it really clear. Next date, it's clear. Love, you know that I'm interested in you. I really hear that you don't want a ball and chain. I'm not into that either. Would you? I'm here taking you on a date because I'd like to be your lover. Is that something you're here for? If she goes, no, no, it's like, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I
And
can't.
that's something we talked about earlier. Communicate. Why can't two adults sit down and actually have a conversation about something real?
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
everybody, Melissa Louise, I just love the way she thinks, the way she talks, and her whole concept on dating and relationships. And so, Melissa, tell us. I know you're working on a new website, and I think your Instagram account. Tell us, everybody, where we can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, like Melissa stroke Louise stroke intimacy, like anyway, I'll put it down. So it's Melissa Louise intimacy on Instagram. Um, I have all of these like short courses for men and women. So the best thing is to get on my Substack, and because I write a lot. I write a lot. I have a podcast as well and my YouTube channel. So get in on my Substack. There's free subscription as well as paid. But my free subscribers get a lot of fucking content. It's really
Oh,
amazing. So
I
the best
will.
thing is just to get on my Substack, and that way you'll always know about everything that's happening.
I will think I will have to sign up for that. So,
Yes.
and I'll put all of that in the show notes. And thank you so much for. And I think I will give them a plug now. So I didn't want to introduce you in the beginning, but I did find Melissa Louise on the Ask Women podcast
That was a lot of
with
fun.
Kristen and Marnie, and it's a great podcast. So I did want to give them some credit. I just wanted to wait till the end. So I
Yeah,
did that.
beautiful.
So
No, it was a great interview. I'm glad you liked it. And I'm glad you
yeah,
found me for it. It's amazing.
yeah. So thank you to Marnie and Christine. Marnie is supposed to come on this podcast, so hopefully one of these days, not one of these days, it was supposed to be last night, and we're waiting for her to reschedule. So, Melissa, thank you for joining me, and
My
we'll
pleasure.
talk again soon. Okay,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
my pleasure.